Record. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a simple web application that would use these services that we have created. So far, we have pgadmin and Postgres. That simply it's gonna do is just gonna do a supporting environment things, but in a production application, what we will need is we will use these services in order to work. Okay. So in order to deploy these applications in a server and how we can get these things done, we'll try to make something from real world. So in order to do that, I'll be creating a very simple web application. So these configurations that we are doing within that application is something what we can call is unique to framework, but the concepts that we're going to be following is general in any other application as well. So what we are demonstrating here is one framework, but you guys can apply the same theories when you learn the same, when you learn the theory behind configurations and everything. So you guys get an idea on what going on. So I'll open a simple terminal in here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple web application using Nginx. Okay, so this, as I mentioned earlier, this is not something that we need to worry about now. I'm just going to create one single API application that gonna, just connect to the database, or even let's see how far we can go with creating an application with the services that we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple workspace. I'm going to call these as sample API. Okay. So think this is like the process of creating a simple web application. So I'm going to create a node application. So it's going to be using Next.js. Since I know I'm not going to build anything, I'm not going to go with monorepo. I'm going to just go with a very simple standard one. So in here, they are asking whether they want to generate a Docker file. I'll just generate one, but no, sorry, I'm just going to skip it, and I'll try to create one myself. But if I want to like look at what's going on there, I can select yes. So I can get an idea what is the Docker file they are generating. Simply remember, this is going to be for deploying this application. This is how it's going to look like. So the Docker file creation might happen, might not, but it will be a great reference point. So we will just skip it. If we don't need, we will just skip it. So this is something from Nginx. So I'm not gonna promote that again, but it's a great feature. If you guys need faster building, just try out Nginx distribution, which will make Node.js application building really fast. Okay, so that is something they come up with. So have a look around it. So while the application is creating, I'll just go through a few of the steps that we're going to be doing. So we are in the process of creating a sample application, and it's going to download the Node modules, which we're going to take some time. Downloading Node modules is like getting the whole internet down to my computer. It's going to take a little bit of time. Okay, so while that is happening, next thing that I am going to do is that I'll be working with a custom build operation. So right now, what we are doing is when we are creating a service, the service is already based on an image that is already there, right? In the file is the image is already pre-built. We are just gonna download or we'll just pull it from the repository and we will gonna use it. But think about an application that we're gonna be deploying when we are trying to deploy an application. Normally, the normally process is that we'll be not creating the application itself. That means we will not push the application to a Docker repository. Of course, we can do that, or we can build it our own. So you guys can remember, based on these Docker files, yes, we know how we can create a Docker file. Based on these Docker files, we can create our own application, right? We don't need something from the something from internet. We can create our own Docker files, and we can have name and everything on those things. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this Docker file. Right now I have a Docker file in here, which is like doing nothing at this moment. Okay, it's just creating the Alpine image and copying everything within the directory, other than the everything in here for home and home run the directory. But in a production level application, that we can be developing, what we will do is we will have the more build application, the application that we're going to be building to be deployed somewhere else. Okay, so how are we going to do that? How are we going to utilize this Docker file in order to build the application and deploy it as a service? Okay, so at the end, when you are deploying your application, when you are deploying your Docker Compose file, it is just going to say Docker save, sorry, Docker build up. Then at that same moment, what will happen is it will just turn on your database, turn on your pgadmin, and it will run the application. You don't have to install other softwares and everything. All you need is Docker and Docker Compose right there. Okay, so you don't need to install Postgres, pgadmin, networking. Everything will be done within this single Docker Compose file. So the deployment, configuration, and everything will be like something that we can get up and running very easily. Remember, this setup is something for hosting our own applications. Okay, sometimes when we are developing huge applications, we do not usually run the Postgres, pgadmin, everything within one single Docker machine. Okay, so as you guys can see, when I'm creating this one, when I'm creating the simple Docker file, where Docker runs, the Postgres server, pgadmin, and the web servers that I'm trying to run will be running in one single machine. Okay, but in a production application, we do not take that risk. Most of the time, the Postgres will be in somewhere else, pgadmin might be somewhere else, to keep our application more secure, sometimes even more robust. We will be having in different locations. But to get started, to make things, to learn at least the basics, we'll be using this technique. That means we have a service. Within the service, we have pgadmin, Postgres, and everything, and we can run the application afterwards. So yeah, we'll see how we can create. We'll use this Docker file in this Docker Compose file. So I think I had something there. So we can name our server whatever you like. Okay, so I will name my service as web, and you guys can see the command in here, the command called build, which will build a Docker image. Okay, so the building process happened using the location of provided by this value. So you guys can see there's a dot that indicates wherever this Docker Compose file is, you will find a Docker file, okay, right around here, and use that Docker file to build the image. Okay, so based on what we are seeing in here, it will create a Docker file. Okay, that's the basic of it. And the container name that I'm going to go, it is going to be test underscore web. Okay, this is gonna be the name for my container. All right, so I'll update the Docker ignore file. You guys can remember, if I do not add the sample API, everything will be added to the Docker file in here. So I'm gonna simply say Docker ignore sample API. This project that I have recently created to see the web API is working on it. So the simple web application. Okay. I think I got an error. Let me go to the sample API and try to run it again. npmi. Most of the time, if your internet connection is not good, this might happen. So let's give it time. That's why I'm time to time I'm checking on it whether it is completed or not. Just keep it visible for the time being. Okay, so when I run Docker Compose up, what it will gonna do is it's gonna turn on a Postgres SQL. It's gonna turn on pgadmin container, and it's gonna build a new image rather than having downloading separate one. It is gonna build something in here, and the container will be called testnet. Okay, right now it is not an even a web application, it is just a simple Alpine image. So we'll change that. I think I am getting an error. Mod module typings. We have an error. If I will remove node modules and try to install once again. Sometimes broken npm modules is not the way to go. So try to install it once again. See whether it is working. Okay, so in order to turn this up, okay, I think the application is ready. That's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run this application. So I'm going to say nx serve. So it will run the application in development mode. And as you guys can see, it is running on localhost 3000 API. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a curl in here. I'll create another curl, and yes. So you guys can see a simple message is showing. This is enough for the time being. Okay, we will try to Dockerize this API and check whether this is working correctly or not. Okay, so that's our intention. We'll Dockerize this one and try to get it up and running. Okay, let me close this. So this is running. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is, as you guys can see, the sample application that I am having here. It is containing a lot of information in here, right? We have the development related stuff and source related stuff, and everything from the package manager, which are like the packages that we're going to be using. Everything is going to be here. Okay, so when we are running this application, what we call the production build. Okay, when we are running this one, we do not actually need all of these things. Okay, we need fewer things in order to run this application. So we do not need a lot of things that we are really using in here. Let me give you an example. So the project JSON file, the README files, these everything that we see in here right now, these are like helping us with the development. But in production, when we are running this application on a server, these files are, we can consider these things are useless at that point. Okay, these are no longer in use. So what we're going to do is, what we're going to do is we will ignore these files. Everything that we need, whatever the things that we need to run will be within one single directory that is called the dist. Okay, so dist is what we think as the distribution. Okay, this is where the distribution happens. So at the end, this directory and the sample API, this is the place. These directories will be sufficient to run the application. So we have this asset directory and the main.js. So everything that the simple API need to run will be within this main.js. So we just need to deploy this section of the application to the search. Okay, so we don't need all the other things that we have seen so far in order to run this application. Okay, so how we gonna make sure that we will be creating, we will be having this directory, and how we gonna do the builds and everything. We will look at using these Docker commands. Okay, so first thing, let me check. I do not have a Docker file created for this. That is a shame. Okay, anyhow, even if it is not there, we can create our own Docker file. So let me give another thing that you guys need to know. So we have the development setup and we have the production setup. Okay, so development is like when we are developing the application, when we are trying things up here and there, and we will be getting that one running up and running later on. The next thing is that we need to worry about is the next thing that we need to think in here is the production build. How we're going to get the production build out of it. So most of the time, we'll be using a framework of our choice. Or if you do not want to, you will have to create your own build scripts. Okay. So what we're going to do right now, we will be creating our we'll be using the built-in command for building this application. So we'll be using the build command, shipping with NX to build the application. So what I'm going to do is to demonstrate, I will just delete this directory, and you guys can see it is no longer working, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say NX build. Okay. So when I am running NX build, it is gonna build the application, which is gonna be under dist, and you guys can see it is creating the same application that we have did it earlier on. Okay, so what we have done is we have successfully executed this command, and we were able to get the build up and get the build done. So that is going to be in the this directory. Okay, so next thing that we need to do is you guys can see the NX build is a command that I have executed within my local machine. Okay, I have executed the NX build within my local machine, and I was able to get the distribution done, get the distribution within my machine. So what I did was I was getting the code and I'm building it, and I just build the command and I got the final distribution right over here. The next thing that I need to do is to do this sort of thing, the NX build and everything within a Docker environment. Okay, I'm currently running this NX build within my local machine. Now what I need to do, I need to automate this one as well. So think a location, I think a place that we have everything we need to build everything, and we will be shipping these things in a Docker based environment. Okay, so how we gonna do that? So very simple that we need to do is first thing, let me move this Docker file. So first thing I need to do is to make things a little bit easy. Let me try to move this Docker file to the sample. Okay, there you go. So I have moved, I think I have created the Docker file in here. Otherwise, it will make things a little bit awkward. And two Docker files, you might get confused. I might need this Docker ignore. Yes, I'll create the Docker ignore one just to be safe. I will move it here. I'm definitely gonna remove this things right now with the Docker ignore. Okay. So we have a Docker compose file and we have a build directory right now. And the build file, it is not within the application itself. It is in sample API. So I need to make sure to tell that it is within the sample /API. Okay, so you won't find a Docker file if I say Docker compose up right now. The Docker file is not within here, but it's gonna be in the sample API directory. Okay, so when we give that, the build will gonna go in here and try to find this Docker file. Let's see whether this is working or not. First of all, if we have some errors, we might need to fix that one. We'll fix that one as soon as possible. So for the time being, what I'm going to do is I'm Docker compose down. If anything running, I will destroy everything. So I have Postgres and everything, and those things are removed. And what I'm going to do is, since I am going to building the application, I will just comment out these things, Postgres and pgadmin. Okay, but just for testing. So I'll be working with the web. I'll call this one web API to make this much more nice. So I have only one web API, web service called web API, and the build, how I'm going to build is, it is going to be in the sample API directory, where I will find a Docker file. Using that, start the build, and we will see how it goes. Right now, it is just going to be simple Alpine image. I'm going to probably change this. Okay, so let's see whether this one is working. So Docker compose up. Okay, if everything goes according to the plan, it will get the Alpine image as I wanted, and it is creating the network and created the test environment. But as you guys can see, the test web is exited with 0 code, because right now I'm just having a plain old Alpine image. It is containing nothing. Okay, so it's not going to be very useful. Next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to use something to build this application. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to build this project. So in order to build this project, as I mentioned earlier, I can do two things. Okay, I can build locally, simply executing the command within my project, or what we do in a real life production environment, we will be having this project, the sample API project. We will taking that one into our application. We will build that. Okay, so everything that we need to do is going to be downloaded. Once everything is downloaded, what we will going to do is we will build this application later on. Okay, so we'll be going in a rough journey. So bear with me. I'll try to explain everything as I go along. So in order to build this image, in order to get everything running, we need to make sure so you guys can see this is a node-based application. In order to run or compile node-based application, we need node installed within our machine. So if it is in Java, application that we are developing, we need Java installed within our machine in order to build that. If it is a Python, you need Python and everything installed within your container in order to build, run, or whatever you're going to do. So what I'm going to do is, rather than based on Alpine image, I'm going to get an image which is capable of having, of having the latest node version. Okay, so we need to create, we need to get official image, okay, which is pre-installed, which has pre-installed the Docker things. So how we gonna do that? I'm gonna go to Docker Hub and get a Docker image that I'll be using in order to work with. So right now I am seeing few options. So I have something good. I suppose this one is good. This image. So the image that I'm going to using, it is based on Alpine, not Alpine 3.9. Okay, so this is the image that I am going to be using. So why this image? As I mentioned earlier, in order to build our application, I need what do you call, not installed. Okay, in order to work with my project, I need not installed. So I am gonna I'm not gonna create a application from ground up or image from ground up. I'm simply gonna use pre-installed, not pre-installed Docker image in order to get things done. Okay, so the image that I have chose is this one, and since it is something something based on Alpine 3.9, I have like layer of cache that I do not need to download again. Okay, so if I run this container, what will happen? Now I have node within my machine. Okay, I don't need to say node and everything. It already has node and everything that I need. Okay, give me a second. Next thing that I am gonna do is that I'm gonna create what we called application working directory. So in order to build this application, what I need is the source directory. This source directory need to be copied. Okay, this source directory need to be copied, and I need to make sure the node modules are there, and everything else that is in here, we can consider those things are not necessary at the moment, but we will go into end-to-end development as well, something like a pipeline. Okay, that's for something else. Right now what we are trying to do is we are trying to get the image built and working. So this is the application. Okay, next thing what we need is this source directory and the node modules we have. So two things that we can do. The node module comes with this package JSON. If I use this package JSON and npm install, everything will be installed in here. So I need this package JSON file to be within my application. First of all, I would like to create a working directory. Okay, working directory. So that means whenever I am executing this command, I am not executing these things in random location, a known location. So I am going to be choosing USR src app. Okay, so whenever whatever the commands that I'm executing afterwards will be based on this directory. So this is going to be my working directory. So I know where my application is going to be. So I'm first of all, I select my base image, then I select my working directory. Now what I need to do is first thing first, I need this package JSON to be copied into the working directory. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say copy, I'm going to say package JSON. I need this package JSON to be copied in the application. So so I use the copy command. I'll copy this package JSON to this location, the working directory. Okay, so I'll be copying that. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I need these node modules to be installed within my application. So I'm going to run another command, npm install, or I can say simply npm I or npm install. So right after I copy this package JSON, I will run an npm install. That means everything that I need within this package JSON will be downloaded into my working directory. Okay, let's see that in action. And yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Docker Compose. I can just simply using the Docker file, but I'm going to use Docker Compose anyhow. Docker Compose up. So right now it is gonna, based on this image, change the working directory, copy the package JSON, and run the npm install command. Okay. Okay, so one other thing that we need to make sure. So you guys can see that the container has created so fast. So this is what we call it. It is creating the Docker Compose file, but you guys can see the container that we have created is not the original one. Okay, so we need to tell Docker Compose, hey, we have updated the Docker Compose file. So do not use the old image. So since we have executed the build command earlier on, it is not going to build once again. It is thinking, okay, we haven't changed anything in the Docker Compose file. So it is not going to be building the new image that we have done some changes. So we need to say --build at the end. So Docker Compose knows, okay, seems to be the files, the images that we have used is changed. So we need to build it once again. Okay. So right now you guys can see it is running the application and everything that we need. So what currently you guys can see there are 4 steps in here. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps are here. Out of those 4 steps, the first one is done, pulling the base image, which is going to be the Alpine one. And the second one is using the changing the working directory. We have done that one as well. Third one is copying the package JSON. That is also done. The fourth one is running the npm install. Now, what it is going to do is it's within the container, it is going to run the npm install. Okay. So while the npm install is going on, we will move on to a few other things that we need to consider. So it is going to take a little bit of time because right now, within that environment, we do not have anything. The application is purely doing nothing. It's gonna just gonna get everything that we have in here, like these node modules and everything, will be installed or will be downloaded from internet to that image that we are building. Okay. All right. Next thing is that we're gonna do. Yes, we were able to get the node modules running. We were able to get the package JSON running. As you guys can see, I am hand picking what are the files that I need. Okay, if I do not need anything, it will be not copied there. Okay, so Next thing that I'm going to do is what I need in order to compile the application. The next thing that I need to compile in order to get the dist environment, I need the source environment. So the source environment is where all my code is residing. I need to get the source environment into my Docker directory. So I am gonna, next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy src directory um, into the working directory in here. So I can say src or I'm gonna say src and dot in here. That would indicate I am gonna copy the src directory, the source directory, into the current directory, which is gonna be working directory, which is gonna be user src app. And within this application, within this directory, I will have a directory called src, because I am copying this src directory right to this working directory. Okay. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the src. So the you might ask, okay, why didn't we do this in the first try? One thing that I need to give you guys is the layers. Okay, so you guys can see it says in here exporting layers. Okay, so think I did not run this command, or I did not modify this image. Okay, I did not modify this docker build command. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the docker build command once again. Okay, so now you guys can see it is no longer taking that much of time to build. So the steps that we have taken seems is what we call has been cached. The reason behind that, since we have not done any changes in this Docker compose file, Docker file, Docker assumes that we haven't changed anything within these steps. Okay, so the working directory hasn't changed from the last time. The package JSON haven't changed. I haven't done anything in here, but if I do, it is something so total different story. But since this package JSON file is not changed, the npm run consider that one is no longer changed. That means as long as I do not add anything to the package JSON, if I add something new, the package JSON would change. Afterwards, everything will be invalidate. That means if I change this file, all the layers, all the steps after this would be considered as changed. Okay, so that's why we are having this package JSON and npm install run. So as long as we do not change anything within the package JSON, we will be okay. That means we do not need to download the npm install again and again. If we change this some reason, if we change the package JSON for some reason, then the npm run will run again. Okay, that is a valid point, because the package JSON contain all the dependencies within our application. If we think like this is like all the libraries that we're going to be using. So if we add or remove a library, then the npm install command should run, because we have either add something or we have done some modification to it. That means the node modules, the dependencies, the libraries have changed. So we need to run that once again. Okay, so as long as we do not change the package JSON, which is like going to be a static file, then the npm install no need to be run once again. So that's the order in here matters. We could have copied the src first. Then what will happen? Most of the time, 99% of the time, the src is changing. The source is always changing when we are trying to deploy something. So if we change, if we have src on the top, what will happen? All the package, all the commands that we are going to be running is going to be invalidated. Okay. Every time the src changes, then they consider, okay, all the other steps that is following need to be rerun again. They cannot be cached. Okay, but most of the time this package JSON is really changing, so we do not need to do npm install every time that we do, but the source change, so it will be building whatever we have afterwards. Okay, so we use the copy command right now, and let's clear and run once again the docker compose build command. Now you guys can see we have the copy command here as well. So it is copying the image into our application as well. So the next thing, we have the source copied. We have everything. Um, we have everything that we need. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to build this application. The source directory does not have everything. So someone might say, okay, can't we just directly copy the disk directory? Okay, so we can say, okay, we can completely just take the disk directory and copy it in here, so we don't have to build. So that is the opposite of this. That is like something that we can do, but in order to do that, we need this machine, we need the application to be built first. Okay, the pipeline that we are running is not going to have the SRC folders and everything. It is not going to have anything. Most of the time, even the sample API is not going to be here. Sometimes we need to have it from a Git repository or something like that, which we'll think in a little bit later, how we can completely pipeline this kind of domain. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm assuming that we have this sample API and everything in here, and we will be copying those things onwards. So I have the copy command, which will copy the SRC, and everything that I need is in here. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to build the application. I'm going to build the application. So next command will be a run command. So in order to build this application, we within the package JSON, we have this np scripts. Okay, I can use nx build, or I can say npm run build. Okay, that is either option. Anyhow, you within whatever the framework you are trying, you need to find the build command. So I know I know this is the build command, npm run build. Okay, so next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to run this command, which will build my application. Okay, so I'm going to clear this output and give a docker build, docker compose of build. So right now, all the layers have been cached. Seems to be giving an error. That is good. Okay, so you guys can see these things are cached. That is fine. That means we haven't, since we have changed in anything in source, so it is fine. But when I run npm run build, it is giving me an error. Nx run a target for a project or a production. Both project and target have to be specified. Okay, that is something from the application itself. I think it should, let me check the command locally. Okay, that is the best thing that we can do. cd docker, cd sample API, npm run build. If it is not working, okay, seems to be working in my local machine, but not within the Docker file. So if I run the same command within the sample API Docker build, and it is building the application without an error, okay, sample API. But if I use the Docker image, it's giving me an error. That is good. We'll see how we can get rid of that one as well. Probably something to do with the tool that we are using, not related to configuration, but npm run did not complete successfully. nx build sample API, so start build nx build. Probably I might be missing something. Let me think. Okay, I think not only the source directory, perhaps some configuration files from here is needed as well. That might be the case. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be copying everything in here except this node module. Okay, I'm gonna be copying everything except this node module. So I have the Docker ignore file. Yeah, it's the Docker ignore. Within the Docker ignore file, I am gonna only ignore node modules, which is gonna be like huge because I know for sure this node module is not place. I am also gonna skip the disk directory because if it is copying the disk directory, then no point. Probably I can accept this nx and .vs code as well, so I don't need those things to be copied. But other than that, I'm pretty sure these things will be needed in order to build the application. Okay, so I go to Docker file. I'm gonna copy not src but everything. Okay, so everything that you will find in here, copy those things into the directory that we are in. Okay, so I'm copying everything. So everything except anything in Docker ignore. That is the purpose of Docker ignore file. Everything to the Docker image that I'm building. Let's see if it is working. So I have changed a copy command in here. So since I have changed that, you guys can see these things will be not affected because the package JSON haven't changed. So the content that I have copied is not changed in here, but the npm install wouldn't be affected since it is cached. But after this one, after this command, everything will be every other step would be executed. So I'm gonna Docker Compose build once again. Let's see how it goes. Now you guys can see it is using the npm install. Everything is cached, so we don't have to worry. So we have copy everything, and we have run the npm run build command, exporting layers, and think that did the job. So we were able to uh, build everything. Okay, so we have built everything. So what I can do is to make sure everything is there, I will add another run command, and I will say ls dist and sample API. Okay, so at the end, I'm gonna run another command which will list down the directory dist and sample API. So if I have everything corrected, it should show assets and main.js. So if there is those things, then I can think my application build process is completed. So it is running. Run ls, but I think this one is not showing the result in here. Might be because of the might be because of this is within the container. So I think this is a dumb idea. Okay. Anyhow, we will see how the application should run at the end. So next thing that I'm gonna do is so I have everything that I need, the build, npm install and everything. And one other thing is that we need to do is to run this application. Okay, so if you guys can remember, we have what we called application to be running afterwards. Okay. Or we can just yeah. Okay, sorry. So we have completed these steps. Now what we got is a working application. Okay, so we have a simple working application in this process. So we have npm run and everything is built. So we can run this application. Let me get a command that I need to run. Can get this simply docker npm run and simply say entry point not. So I know the directory that I'm going to be in. It's going to be dist sample API main. Sorry, main.js. So as an entry point, I would give, okay, once this. So this is when we are running the application. So the command when I am running this file, it is going to be entry point. It can execute this command called not, and it will execute dist sample API main.js file. So it is going to run the application. So if I do it in my local machine, it should do the same thing. Let's see. I should be in the sample API directory. And if I say not dist sample API main.js, so it is gonna start the application. Okay, so same thing that I'm gonna do. So we will build everything. These are like build commands, and when I am running the container, so it is gonna execute this command. So it will run the application. Okay, so let's see that in action. Docker docker compose build up. Right now it is building and test container is running. Now you guys can see the test web, it is running as well. So since this is a Docker Compose file, it is immediately starting the application in here as well without an issue. So the container is running in port 3000 and everything seems to be working. But I won't be able to interact with this application. Why? I haven't in my Docker Compose file, I haven't opened a port. So let me do that in here. Ports, and if I say 3000 to 3000, that means within my local machine, port 3000 will be mapped to my port 3000. Okay, so I can access this sample API. So let me run this once again. Docker Compose build, and it is running. To verify that is working, I can say curl curl localhost port 3000 / API. It should give me the message. Okay, so my application is giving me back the result that I want. So if this is running on completely on a Docker container, you guys can see Docker Compose up, build the image, the sample API that I have in here, the Docker Compose file. It is creating this one. It is using this one, working and installing and everything. And at the end, it is gonna run the application. Okay, so you guys can see it's simply working as expected in this scenario. All right, any questions up until this, guys? Anything that you need to get clarification on this Docker file that we have created, the simple one, and we try to execute that one in Docker Compose. But if we simply build using Docker build command, it won't run. Since this is a Docker Compose file, it is going to build it and run it. Okay. Know the difference? The Docker build will only build this image. Okay. It won't run it. In order to run, we need to put it, either we can run it manually, or if we put within the Docker Compose as a service, then it will run as normal. Anything that you guys need to clarify within this section? Okay, hope it's not. Yeah, clear enough, I suppose. So we use existing Docker file in order to create a new container, and we expose it working great. So we have this Docker file, a single Docker file, which we use a basic node Alpine image. We set the working directory, we copy the package JSON, we run the npm install, we copy everything in here, and we build the application, and we set an entry point that whenever the image is running, the main.js would be executed. Okay, so remember this these steps are somewhat catered to node application, or even sometimes you can think this is catered for like catered for a Nest project. Okay, but most of the time any node, I haven't used any Next based ones, but the dist directory, those things might change based on the framework that you choice, but it's still the same. Okay. So one thing that I need to expose to you guys is the application is not in the expected efficiency, if I may say. It might have some things that we really don't need. So we will try to optimize this image. Okay, this image is good, this is working. Yes, you guys saw it is working, but there are some cleave cats that we need to address. We'll need to see how we can set up multi-steps and everything. So let me show what I mean. I'll run this application once again using Docker Compose up and build. Yes, the application is running. While the container is running, I can exe into it, or my using VS Code, I can see what are the running images. Now you guys can see Docker Web API is running, and I can explore files very easily. So you guys have seen that I have set the working directory as USR src app. So I need to find USR, src, app, and you guys can see all the files that I have copied, webpack configuration, all these things are in here, right? Everything that we need in order to run this application is here. Okay, it is running as expected. So we are executing the node command with this node module within the this sample and everything in here. So basically, if you're thinking right now, this application have little bit of unwanted files. As I mentioned earlier, this directory would be the only thing that we need in order to run. Okay, once this directory is created and node module is there, we don't need this src. Okay, we don't need these .nx files, cache, these supporting files that we need. At the end, we just need this directory, node modules. That's it. Okay, we need only those things in order to run. So in this setup, we are building it, but we are also running it. The problem is we are having a lot of unwanted files within this image. Okay, so we need to make sure we are giving a clear image. So probably if you are, say for instance, you are trying to deploy this application, or you're trying to distribute this application as a closed source project, or you don't need anyone else to find the source code of this application. But in here, we have failed to do that because the SRC directly, all the source code in here, you guys can get it from here, and it might defeat the purpose. Okay, but if you really want to send the distributed version, then the dist would just do fine. Okay, so all the other things are not needed. Then what we will gonna do is, okay, we will take this Docker file and make it multiple steps. What we call these things are multi-stage builds. Okay, we will convert this to a multi-stage build. So by converting this to a multi-stage build, what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate unwanted file. Once the build is completed, we will completely create a new application, and we will be using that to distribute the application, not everything that we are having in here. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to differentiate two things. First one is build the application. Next one is the running the application. Right now, this is doing the building part. This is doing the execution part. Everything is in one single file. What we're going to do is we're going to differentiate these two. One stage, at one stage, we will build the application. At the next stage, we will run the application. Okay, so we have multiple stages to do those things. So at the first stage, yes, we will see all these garbage files, dist and everything. But once you're done with it, we will discard it, and we will have only the things that we need to run it, the distribution part of it. So at the end, the first stage will have all these unnecessary files to build and everything, but at running, it will only contain this dist and the node module. That is only thing that we need in order to run this application. Okay, so how are we going to do that? First thing, we will create this as we will create this this application and make it as a base. So or I can say build, whatever you like. So what I have done here is I am using this image, and I'm going to name it as a build. Okay, so I'm creating an image, and that I'm taking an image and I am naming that one as a build. Okay, so all the time that we had only one from clue, and we can work with that. Right now, I am naming this build. Okay, so whatever here I put in, everything is considered as build. Okay, whatever that I am running right around here, everything is considered as one single stage. So how stage is going to be different? After I put another from and I refer any other image or a previous image, then we consider this one as the second stage. Okay, so this one is the first stage, and the stage name or the build name we have name is as build. So the next stage I am going to be using is starting from the second from command. So if I have another from command, and if I give X or the base image as X, so this is a multi-stage. The stage 1 is here, stage 2 is here, and stage 3 is here. Okay, so I'm gonna comment this one for now. And what I'm gonna do is I am gonna build this command, build this image, and the second stage, at the second stage, I want be needing everything in here. So I am gonna refer this one as build. And the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm starting from this build command. Okay, so I'm starting everything from this build command. So as you guys can see, as you guys can remember, from should give a base image, which I have done in here. The second stage, I haven't given something from the Docker Hub or Docker repository, but I am referring to this image that I have in here, and I am taking that as the base. Okay, so first stage, it will build, and for the second stage, this image, the image that I have used to build is going to be the base. Okay, so this is going to be the base image for the second stage. Okay, so I hope that makes everything clear. That's what I have named this one as here. So I can, if you guys thinking this might helpful, I will say this one is this stage, the first stage, as the build stage, the image that I am going to be using, named as build stage. For the second stage, I will be basing off the build stage image, which is this. So everything that happens in here is available in the build stage. Now, if you guys can remember, within the build stage, okay, even with the build stage, I can easily execute this command. What will happen in this scenario? The second stage will start right after everything that we have in here, and we will execute this entry point. So it will work, but the problem that we are trying to get rid is not going to be resolved. Okay, so what we're going to do is what we will be doing is we will create another image for running purposes. Okay, so what I am going to do is I am going to create run as I don't need to need to give a name for the running stage. I can just have it like this. So I have another stage. The first stage is the build stage. It is here. And I have a second stage, which I am going to be using Alpine anyhow, but I am not referring the build stage. If I use the build stage, what will happen? It will have all the things that I need in this directory, which is going to be like the same thing that I have in the build directory. So what I am going to do next is I'm going to have a brand new container, which I will be starting from here, and I will give the entry point. The problem is this brand new stage, the brand new stage that I have is not going to have this dist and everything. It is not going to have those things within there. So how I am going to resolve that? How I am going to get this dist sample API main.js or even the dist directory to this new stage, the second stage image, how I am going to get that? So it's simply enough. I can use the copy command, but I rather than copying from the machine, you guys can see that if I'm executing copy commands in here, that is copying from the machine. But in this scenario, I can say from stage. Okay, from stage, that means which stage that I want to copy. I'll be copying files. I'll be copying files from build stage. So whatever I find, whatever things I have created in this build stage, okay, there are a lot of files. There are a lot of unwanted files. You guys can see this is the build image that I have run, that I have seen. In this image, I have a lot of things. I am really interested in this directory and the not module. So I am going to copy those files only. So I'll be copying src app dist into this location. So in the second one, I am gonna also create a working directory. To make things easy to understand, I will in the second image, I will just simply say app. Okay, so the working directory for the second image is USR app, or even if you think this is too much, I can have image called app. Okay, so directory called app. So the second time, the second image, first thing I'm going to do is set the working directory as app, copy from the build stage. This is the build stage. Within the build stage, I have a directory. You can see I was working in the build directory in this USR SRC app. From that build stage, you will find a USR app disk directory, copy it to here. Okay, copy it to here. Here in the sense, the working directory on the second stage. Okay. So another thing that I need to do is I also need to copy the node modules. Otherwise, it won't be able to run. Okay. So I am going to copy node underscore modules. These are like the libraries that I need. So I need to copy those things. So by doing this, okay, by doing copying these, only these two, I am with the second stage, on the second stage, I am eliminating all the unnecessary files. So I would not have the E2E, I do not have the SRC, anything that is there will be gone. Okay, will be not copied because I instruct to copy from the build stage. This is the build stage that we have done, and within there, copy the disk directory, copy the dot module, anything else, do not copy. Okay, so a brand new stage, working directory change, copy only the files, and at the end, I am going to run the file over there. Okay, so what we have done is we have created the application. The first time when we are creating, we have created the application, and the second stage we are running the application. Only necessary ones will be copied. Okay, let's see this in action. Let me clear this one up. Let me do a Docker build. And you guys can see we are doing a multi-stage. Now everything is copied. Okay, seems to be giving an error. That is fine. Cannot find app this sample API main.js. That means either one of these commands have failed or it did not copy as intended. Let's see whether this one is correct. So I have the copy command in here, not module also to be here. Can't find module. Okay, the application has failed. That means the not module is no longer there. SRC app. It should have the disk directory, not module as well. What did I do wrong? Okay, let me try a CMD in here. And let's check. Once again. Recreated modules at least. I have named my stage. Yes, build stage. That is correct. Only thing that can happen is this copying has not been completed. Sometimes this might help. Let's see. Let's run it again. Still not. Okay, for the entry command to debug this thing, I'm not having a good example. So what I'm gonna do is entry point. I would say is ls. Okay, we do a quick build once again. Okay, so I am, I think, in a row. So if I export view ls, I think everything in the not module directly seems to be in outside. So I have done something wrong with the test. Okay, what I'll do is I will name these things as well as this. Okay, clear, local compose up. Okay, I think that did the trick. So I, as the entry point, I give ls, so it will list out everything. So it's a dist and not modules. It is there. Now I think I should be able to run. Hopefully, the naming was like the issue. Let's see. Let's see. There you go. Okay. I think the copy command has to be give the directory name as well. That's why it did not copy. Okay, now you guys can see the application is running. Okay, let me just go back to VS Code Explorer. And you guys can see that in the new image, I have changed the working directory to app. So you have the app directory. Now within the app directory, you guys can see only dist is there and the node modules is there. Anything that is not needed, like earlier on, you guys have seen that it contained files which were unnecessary, like the source directory and everything. So now we do not have anything, any such application related stuff. It's gonna simply have only the necessary application that we need to run. Okay. Hopefully the build within the build stage, we have everything. Yes, we have all the unwanted files and everything. But at the end, we have the application, the sample application, which will be running at which will be running by using only things that we need to write, nothing else, nothing more. Okay. So, so we created multi-stage build commands. So we have optimized our application not to run, not to have anything unwanted. Okay, anything unwanted is missing in the final image. So we have make it 2 stages, and within this final stage, we were able to get the application and running up and running. Okay. Okay. The next thing that before I move on, any questions from the multi-stage build? Okay. Remember the steps that we have taken. Otherwise, it might get confusing. Okay. So and the next thing that we're going to do is we since this is a multi-stage build, we have other things that we can take advantages of. Okay, so you guys know before we build this, okay, yes, we can build this one from the application, and since the build is there, we can do other stuff in this multi-stage build. For example, we can check before we go into the next stage of our application, which is like building everything. We can check the source code is in good shape, like all the tests are passing, or anything that need to make sure the code is working perfectly. That kind of thing can be introduced as another stage in our application. Okay, we can check whether these things are in order. Of course, you guys can remember when we looked at pipelines and actions last time. I'm not sure whether you guys have the clear mind. If you guys can remember, please look at the first or the next, first one or the second one on the lecture series, which is GitHub Actions, where we can take multiple actions in order to execute. So the same thing we can do in here. So we can build the image. One thing for sure, we can build the image. The next stage, we can do this testing. Okay, whether every test is passing, whether we have done any coding errors or anything like that. It's up to the user which stage that we're gonna do. So I can take a stage something like this. Okay, I'll take this one as the build stage, okay, or the base stage, rather than building. Okay, before I build, I can check whether everything is in order, the tests are running and everything is working. So I can do that. So let me do one thing. Let me do something simple in that scenario. Okay. So I have this nx test command. Okay. So if I run this nx test command, it will run all the test cases and see whether they are working. So I have 2 test cases in here. One is the app service, and there are like literally 2 unit tests, which if I show you, within there is one simple which check whether it is returning the hello world, and the controller, the service, it should be returning hello world. Okay, so these are the 2 checks that I am running. Currently it is passing. Those are like very simple test cases, but as the project grows, it will add more things. It will add more things in the application. So in Docker file that we have in here, we have multiple stages. Okay, we can name these stages, and what we can do is run different things. So we have the build stage. So rather than calling this build stage, I will call this as base stage. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to have a run stage. Okay. So within the run state, you guys can see I can't have the for running test cases, I need everything that is in the base state. That means all the copied file and everything, the source codes, everything is needed in order to run tests. Okay, so rather than I'm creating at the last stage, I mean in the deployment stage, I am having a completely new node and I am changing and everything. But for the testing stage, I would say I would use the base state. This one is base image, whatever you can name it, base stage, and I will call this as test stage. Okay, I do not need to name this one because it's not gonna use by anything like that. But I am gonna have another stage, which before I forget, which I will use the base state, but I will name it as build stage. Okay, so I have two stages. Um, uh, One is the build stage, which will do the npm run and build, which will another state. Both of these things are going to be based on this. Okay. For the test stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run npm run test. Okay. So to give you guys an idea on this one, so we have a base stage. Okay, it's basically copying and doing the npm install and everything else. The next thing that I'm going to do before I build, I need to make sure everything is working with the testing and everything that I need to run within the application is passing all these tests and everything. I need to make sure that all the unit tests are passing on. Okay, I will run a unit test on here. Once this test is completed, once this stage is completed, that assures my code is working perfectly, I will move to the build stage. Everything is tested. Now I will build it. Once I have built it, I will complete the build. And once the build is complete, that means I have everything in order to run. I will copy those things and will move to running part. Okay, so the different stages, okay, will help me to determine my application is working correctly. So I have introduced a base state, and the base extending this base state, I will have a test stage and a build state. Because the test stage is not needed, as you guys can see, I'm not using it anywhere, so I can just omit the name. Okay, but I need the base build stage um, to run this application, so I have to name it. Okay, the base state is also needed because I need to use in two locations for the test and the build, so I have to name it. So let me run this once again. Let me clear it. Clear. I need to run this command. So now our Docker file is more complicated. It is yeah. Let me check whether everything is in order. Copy package JSON, run build. Docker ignore, okay. Building, it is done. Everything has run, npm run build, working directory, copied. I don't see the test image. Why is that? Did I not save it? Right. Let me clear Docker compose down. Docker compose up with the build. Should run. and copy. Do I need to name this one? I don't think that is needed, but since it is not running, test stage. API pasted, working directory, copy, run the npm install and copy, that is run, and base stage run npm. So the test stage is not executing. You guys can see the copy and directly goes to the run. Why is that? Let me check whether. Oh, okay, might be to set the working there. No, I not done it. I don't think because the build is working the same way. I don't need to set the builds. Maybe the npm command is not working. Let me check. Sample API npm run test. Think test one is also running. Let me do a change in here. Test. I will intentionally break the command. Docker build. See whether there is an issue there. That stage is completely ignored. Why? Okay, for to keep my, I set the working directory one in here. Do not think that is needed, but anyhow. Yeah, it's completely ignoring that state, right? So copying npm run build. So it's directly going. Why is that? Let me check. This page, the name. It's not a question, but stage. Stage. Let me do one thing. I'll just comment these things out and see this one is working. Okay, it is running that. Okay, it is running the npm test, exporting images. It is working. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna comment out the build stage. See whether that one is running. Okay, since that one is cached, I don't think it is doing any changes. Okay, I will run the node one as well. So let me, what I'll do is I will do a change in here. So So rather than running the test successfully, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break one of my tests, see what happens. Okay, so hello API new. Okay, so uh, it is giving the right one, but I have changed it to a wrong scenario. So my test should fail. Let's see whether it is in reflecting in my Docker build as well. No, it is completely ignoring. I did I forget? Is it cached? Working directory. Okay, this one is correct. I think it is cached for some reason. CD some for API npm run tests. Okay, test is passing. That is the issue. It should not pass. I literally changed the test one. It should return hello API. Clear npm run test. Okay, I think the issue was it was like cached. Okay, but what I managed to do is I managed to um, get the application. I get the application to break. Okay, I have changed the test case. Now what I'm gonna do is I am gonna try to run this in the what do we call in the application as a Docker command and see whether this one is, this should fail. Let's see. No, I think the Docker one has already cached on as well. Can clear the cache. Things can happen. Run. Clear that. Not modules. Start. Next. Clear. Cache. Let's see this. Yeah, still somehow the cache is interfering with this. But I'll let me get back to you guys and why this is happening. Probably to do a caching error. But anyhow, the thing that I want to emphasize is that we can have these kind of multiple stages. Okay, the multiple stages that we are having is first stage. It is the based one, that is we will be like preparing our environment. The next stage would be running our application or through tests. If tests are passing, then we are good. And if the test is completed, then what we are doing is we are building our applications. Once we have built the application, we'll create a new stage, which will copy everything from the build stage we had, not everything, or the list and the node modules in our scenario. And finally, we are running it. Okay. So as you guys can see, this base stage multiple stages will help us to build our application, and it will run in different stages and make sure our product is completely uh, configured in a way, in a pipeline, which it will work as intended. Okay. All right. Any questions from these multiple stages? Probably this one I need to check. If you guys have any inputs, just let me know. Need to check why this stage is not executing as intended, but we get the build stage and everything that's associated with that. One thing I can do is, other than this stage, take that one for the next stage. Okay, that is running. Yeah. The problem is, sorry, my mistake. So the base stage, extend test stage, then the test stage should be used as for the build stage. Okay. The base stage cannot have test. Okay, if I fail the test, now you guys can see it is failing and it is not working. So the test stage is running, so we can make sure before we build, everything is working as expected. So I'll do the changes that I have done earlier to run the test perfectly. So that means I have a clear path. I'll run once again. Testing is running, passing, building is done. And once the build is done, I get my application up and run. Okay, sorry, my mistake. The problem is we need to make sure that we are using the testing stage for the build stage. Okay. All right. That's all. That's awesome. Any questions up until this, guys? Okay. Let me stop sharing and stop record.